Good evening, my dear students. So today we'll start with another bone of the upper limb now, that is the radius. Now radius is the long bone of the forearm, and all of us should know when you are going to talk about the radius, one thing has to be kept in your mind to get clearly is that radius is the lateral bone of the forearm. Because if you don't keep this in your mind, you will make mistakes in identifying the side. So radius is the lateral bone of the forearm. The medial bone of the forearm is the ulna, and radius is comparable to tibia of the lower limb. Okay, so radius is a long bone. As all long bones have, it has two ends. This is the upper end of the radius, this is the lower end of the radius, and then it has the shaft of the radius. Okay, so we'll study each part of this bone separately, and then as time comes I will tell you how to identify the side of the radius. Okay, so we'll start. So now first we'll talk about the upper end of the radius. If I can show you, this is the upper end of the radius. The upper end of the radius has head, then you have the neck, and then you can see an elevation here which is called as radial tuberosity. So there are three things at the upper end. You have the head of the radius, the neck of the radius, and the radial tuberosity. Then you have the shaft here, okay, and then you can see the lower end. First, basically, once you should understand that the upper end has the head which is rounded and it is small, and the lower end is expanded. Okay, so we'll concentrate on the upper end first. As I told you, the upper end has the head, then you have the neck and the radial tuberosity. We'll discuss each part separately now. The head of the radius is circular, and this is going to form two joints. Okay, the superior surface of the head, you can see here, the superior surface of the head is concave, and this is going to articulate with the capitulum of the humerus to form the elbow joint. Then you can also see that the circumference of the head of the radius is also flat, and this circumference of the head of the radius is going to articulate with the radial notch of the ulna. That I'll show you when we'll talk about the ulna. So this circumference of the head of the radius is going to articulate with the radial notch of the ulna to form superior radioulnar joint. Is this clear? So the head of the radius is very interesting. It is circular, disc shaped, superior surface is concave. This is going to articulate with the capitulum of the humerus to form the elbow joint. The circumference of the head is also articular, and this is going to articulate with the radial notch of the ulna, and it is going to take part in the formation of the superior radioulnar joint. Is this clear? Then you have the constriction below the head, which is called as the neck of the radius. Okay. Now this neck of the radius is interesting because this neck of the radius is surrounded by a ligament which is called as annular ligament. Now if you can see, there is a black color marked here. See here, you can see this black color line which is marked there. That line marks or shows the attachment of the annular ligament. Annular meaning ring shape. Now when radius and ulna are there together, the radial notch of the ulna, there is a ligament which comes from the ulna and goes along the radius and then again goes back to the ulna. So this ligament is annular ligament, and it is within this annular ligament that the radius is going to move during movements of pronation and supination. So that is the neck of the radius. Then you have a small elevation here which is there on towards the medial side. This is called as the radial tuberosity. Now radial tuberosity has an anterior smooth part. This part of the radial tuberosity is smooth, and the posterior part is rough. Okay, so that is the radial tuberosity. It's an elevation which is present towards the medial side. So upper end will have the head, neck, and the radial tuberosity. Now you come to the shaft of the radius. If you can see this shaft of the radius has three borders and three surfaces. Now the first border, which you can see very clearly here, this sharp border, if I can show you this sharp border is the medial border of the radius. Why? Because radius is the lateral bone of the forearm. This border is the medial border of the radius, and this is also called as the interosseous border. Okay, so because radius is going to be placed laterally, this border is going to be the medial border of the radius. Okay, so this is the interosseous border or the sharp border. Then there are two other borders. There is an anterior border and a posterior border. Okay, now how do you identify the anterior border and the posterior border? See here. If you can see here, the anterior border is oblique in its upper part. Here you can see this line. This is oblique part here of the anterior border. So this is called as anterior oblique line, and then it straightens down and it goes towards this projection here. This projection at the lower end is called as the styloid process of the radius. Okay, so the anterior border is this. You can, if I can show here, it is oblique here. You can feel this. This is the oblique part, which is called as the anterior oblique line, and then it straightens down and goes towards the styloid process. This is called as the straight anterior border. So the upper part of the border is called as the anterior oblique line, and then it straightens down to form the anterior border proper. The posterior border is very similar to the anterior border. You can see this is the posterior border. Okay, this border is the posterior border. Now this again is oblique in the upper part. If I can trace my finger here, this is the oblique part of the posterior border, which is called as the posterior oblique line, and then it straightens down. You can see there are some elevations on the posterior part of the lower end of the radius, so it will go towards this line. Okay, so the posterior border is also oblique in the upper part. It is called as a posterior oblique line, and then it straightens down towards the elevation here, which is called as the tubercle of Lister. Okay, so these are the three borders. The first border, which I told you, which is sharp, which is called as interosseous border. This is the medial border of the radius, because radius is the lateral bone. Then you have the anterior border, which is oblique in the upper part, which is called as the anterior oblique line, and then it straightens down and goes towards the styloid process. The posterior border is said to be the mirror image of the anterior border, which is again oblique in the upper part, and it straightens down and goes towards the tubercle, which is present on the posterior surface. Between these borders, you have surfaces. So between the interosseous border and the anterior border is the anterior surface. You can see this anterior surface. Okay, then between the posterior border and the interosseous border is the posterior surface. Okay, between the posterior border is here, and you can see the interosseous border. This is the posterior surface, and between the anterior border and the posterior border, this surface which is facing you now, meaning if you trace this process, you can see this is the styloid process of the radius. If you trace the styloid process upwards, that will form the lateral surface which is present between the anterior and the posterior borders. Clear? So these are the three surfaces: the anterior surface, the lateral surface, and the posterior surface. Okay, that is about the shaft. The next thing which is very interesting is to identify the lower end of the radius. You can see that the lower end of the radius is expanded. It has 5 surfaces: anterior, posterior, medial, lateral, and inferior. Okay, each surface is very simple to understand. Anterior surface, how do you identify the anterior surface? It is flat. Okay, and it is against this surface that you feel the pulsations of the radial artery. Radial artery is palpated against this surface. So anterior surface is going to be flat. Then posterior surface is very characteristic. If you can see, there is an elevation here, big elevation here. This elevation is called as the tubercle of Lister. This is Lister's tubercle, and then you can see small grooves which are there on the sides of each of this tubercle. These are the grooves for the extensor tendons. That is the posterior surface. Then you have the medial surface, which you can very nicely see here. There is a notch here. This is called as ulnar notch of radius. This is going to articulate with the head of the ulna and form inferior radioulnar joint. Okay, that is the medial surface. The lateral surface, you can see this lateral surface is going to project downwards, and it forms an elevation, beak-like projection, which is called as the styloid process of the radius. Okay, and then inferiorly, you can see there are two things. You can see a triangular facet, and then you have a quadrilateral facet. You can see this, a triangle is also drawn there. So that is the triangular facet, and then there is a quadrilateral facet. These facets are for articulation with the scaphoid and the lunate bones. This will take part in the formation of the wrist joint. Okay, so the radius is going to, lower end of the radius is going to articulate with the scaphoid and the lunate bones, and this will form the wrist joint. Okay, so that is about the osteology of the radius. Okay, now if you have understood everything properly, to identify the side of the radius, now what are the points that you have to keep? First, you will identify the upper end and the lower end. Upper end has the head, which is circular, disc shaped. Lower end is expanded. Okay, so that is upper end and lower end. So this is upper, this is lower. The anterior surface is flat. Okay, so this is going to face the front. The posterior surface has this tubercle elevation, and this is the styloid process which is present laterally. And one point which I told you have to keep in your mind is that the radius is the lateral bone of the forearm. So when you keep everything correctly and place this bone laterally, this becomes your left sided radius. So you have to hold this in the left hand. Is this clear? So that is about the osteology of the radius. Now talking about the muscle attachments, there are very important muscles which are attached here to the radius. Very few as compared to the humerus or the ulna, which we'll see later. Now first is the capsular ligament of the elbow joint will be attached along the margins of the head here. Then I've told you already that the annular ligament of superior radioulnar joint will be attached around the neck. The radial tuberosity has a very important insertion. The posterior rough portion of the radial tuberosity will receive the insertion of biceps femoris. So at the upper end you have three important things: the capsular ligament of the elbow joint, the annular ligament of superior radioulnar joint, and the posterior rough portion of the radial tuberosity is going to receive the insertion of biceps brachii. I said biceps femoris, I'm very sorry. It is going to receive the insertion of biceps brachii. Okay, please excuse me, and I'm sorry if I said biceps femoris. It should be the biceps brachii. The posterior rough portion of the radial tuberosity is going to provide insertion to biceps brachii. Okay, so these are the attachments at the upper end. Now the shaft of the radius, it has three borders and three surfaces. The anterior border has one attachment which is important. We saw that the anterior border is oblique in the upper part, and this is called as the anterior oblique line. The anterior oblique line of the radius is going to give origin to the radial head of flexor digitorum superficialis. That is the anterior oblique line. Okay. No other border will give attachment to any major muscle. This is the interosseous border, the medial border, which is going to provide attachment to the interosseous membrane. Okay. Then you come to the surfaces. There are three surfaces, as you know: the anterior surface, the lateral surface, and the posterior surface. Now the anterior surface, the upper 3/4 of this anterior surface is going to give origin to flexor pollicis longus. Okay, anterior surface and upper 3/4 of the anterior surface is going to give origin to flexor pollicis longus. The lower part of the anterior surface here, lower end, this is going to give insertion to pronator quadratus. So in the upper part you have the origin of flexor pollicis longus, and in the lower part of the anterior end you have insertion of pronator quadratus. That is the anterior surface. Posterior surface has two important origins. In the upper part you have these muscles, the muscles which are going to take part in the formation of anatomical nerve box. You have two muscles, abductor pollicis longus and extensor pollicis brevis. So these two muscles will originate from the posterior surface of the shaft of the radius. Then the lateral surface of the radius, which has three insertions. Very important question which can be asked in your exam. The upper part of the posterior surface has the insertion of supinator. In the middle part of the lateral surface, you have the insertion of pronator teres. And just above the styloid process, this is the styloid process, just above the styloid process there is the insertion of brachioradialis. So there are three insertions on the lateral surface. The upper part you have the insertion of supinator, in the middle part you have the insertion of pronator teres, and in the lower part you have the insertion of brachioradialis. So these are the attachments on the shaft of the radius. I'll again repeat: the anterior oblique line is going to provide origin to the radial head of flexor digitorum superficialis. The anterior surface of the radius in the upper 2/3 is going to give origin to flexor pollicis longus. In the lower part it will provide insertion to pronator quadratus. The posterior surface, two important origins: abductor pollicis longus and extensor pollicis brevis. Lateral surface has three insertions. In the upper part you have insertion of supinator. In the middle part of the lateral surface you have insertion of pronator teres, and in the lower part just above the styloid process you have the insertion of brachioradialis. Okay, so these are the attachments on the radius. So that is all about, I think so many these are the important attachments which are there on the radius. Now talking about very important things which you should know about the radius. Firstly, as you should know that radius and ulna are two bones in the forearm. Radius is the lateral bone and radius is the movable bone of the forearm. Ulna is the stable bone. So when there are movements of pronation and supination, the radius moves over the ulna and brings about the movements of pronation and supination. Clear? Second, two important fractures you should know about the radius. First, fracture the lower end of the radius here. Generally it fractures here. When you fall on the outstretched hand, the lower end of the radius fractures, and if the lower end of the fracture fragment is displaced upwards and backwards, that fracture is called as Colles fracture. and the deformity that comes out in Colles fracture is called as dinner fork deformity. The hand looks like that. It is a dinner fork deformity. If you fall on the back of the hand like this, and there is a fracture of the lower end of the radius, the fracture fragments goes downwards and inwards. Such a fracture is called as Smith's fracture. So these are two very commonly seen fractures which are there at the lower end of the radius. And then another thing which you should know about the radius is that the radius can dislocate or slip from the capitulum if a child is improperly held, or there is a jerk on the elbow, and that time the radius slips from the capitulum, and this is called as subluxation of the head of the radius. Okay, so these are some important features of the radius. A small bone but a very important bone. Please go through this video carefully. Please comment. It's a request to all of you to please comment on improvements that need to be made, whether you have liked the video or not liked the video. Please, if you have liked the video, please share it. Please subscribe the channel and make other people also known about this channel. Thank you.